Hi, this is Louis from EventLister or CraftLister.com. This video is going to be a little bit of an overview just how to use the site as an exhibitor or a crafter. It's going to show you how to do some searches for events, how to change your criteria so that if you only want to see craft shows and not car shows, you can do that. It's also going to show how to leave comments and how to view other people's comments that they've left on events. Also confirming event dates and some other stuff along those lines. But assuming that you're already on the site and logged in and you do have a user account, this is basically the homepage of EventLister or CraftLister.com. They're the same site, two different names. Started off with with EventLister. After that, we had some craft shows that were a little bit weary on the name, so we also added a second domain name. But the main links up here are under these tabs. Now, when you put your mouse over them, they drop down, so you can either click on the link itself to go to the main My Account page, for example, or you can click on one of these other links down here and go to one of the specific subsections of this area. But in the beginning, I'm just going to actually do an event search. So I'm going to click on the Events tab. You don't have to click on, or you could click on Search for Events. You could just click on Events itself. It already has my default criteria. I'm going to search 90 miles around my zip code, and a reasonable upcoming from today's date up until a couple of years in the future. Now, we only usually have events up until about a year ahead, but this will just show basically everything that we have going forward. The event categories are not done on each search. They're basically set to your account. Right now, I've set it so that everything gets shown. And these are some other things, but in general, basically just hit the search button and it's going to show you the upcoming events that are in your area. Now, these ones with the red @ sign are only approximate, and if you click on it, it actually will show you, takes you to, okay, finally, it takes you to the site key, which basically lets you see what those and other symbols mean. Just going a little bit slow here, I guess, is the problem. Okay, so then here's basically what that means. Going back to the other page, once you have a search, you could actually click on any of the names of the events, or there's also something to get some quick details, this Optus plus sign. If you expand that, it shows you all the details that we have on it. Well, actually, those are the options. I'm sorry. This link, the plus details. These are some of the basics without having to go into the search results or into the event details. Because now, for example, if you do want more information on this event, you would just click on the event name. Now, once you're looking at the event details, it has some of the pricing information and the spot type stuff on the right. It has some of the general info over there, and the promoter details is always towards the very bottom. And then it also shows there are other shows that we know about that are upcoming. Now, once you're on an event details page, there's blue stars if we have comments on that event. And if you click on that, it shows you what people have said about it. We've had 2 reports. They're about the same number of sales. The attendance is very different even for the same year, but that's actually rather typical. People just don't really know how to gauge attendances. And so when you have a lot of comments, the average usually works out to be about what it was. Some people really undercutting it, some people really overestimating. But the comments have the year that the comment was for that the person participated, and then our software then orders them by year. In this case, it's only 2 from 2009. But if there were from 08 or 07, it would then also summarize those years here, so it would show you how the event kind of changed over time, besides having to look at each of the individual comments. And that becomes a little bit more obvious when you have a lot of comments. For example, 7's not too many even. Some events have a lot more, in the dozens. Well, here one quick. You can click on the stars in the search results too. So here it shows you over time people estimated about low tens of thousands, and the average is going to be obviously towards the middle of those numbers. One of the most beneficial things here is it shows how many times their booth spot they made in sales. Because it's one thing to say, oh, I made $500 or $1,000, but, well, was it a $10 booth spot or like a $50 or a $200? I mean, how much money you made is a lot different versus how much money you also expected to make and how much you paid for the spot. So it's at least rather than just showing how much they made and showing how much they paid for the spot, a quick index is showing, well, they made about 5 times their booth spot on average. One year they made more, about people made about 10 times their booth average, and it was one of the higher attendance, except for this very last year. That was a big wrong estimate. And then of course down here are then the individual ones. Now to add your own comment for any event, you just go to any of these comments on any comments pages for any of the events, and at the bottom is a enter your comments for this event form. Basically just want to know what year you did it for, your ratings in a couple of categories, if you want to remain anonymous or not, whether you were a customer or an exhibitor. And if you were a customer, you don't have to fill out all these exhibitor questions. And it's asking for, and some of these are required for any comment, and other ones only if you want to get the full credit. We do give membership time for every comment, but if you want to receive the most time possible, then you need to answer all the required for full credit questions also. And once you're done, you basically just hit the add comment button. Going back to the home page here now. That's the basics of doing a search and looking at the comments. Let's say we want to add to an event listing. Perhaps we know a little bit about this event. Now we don't have any of the details here as far as the attendance, we know the price of the spot, but not much more. There's a link on every event that every user has access to. It's called add. Well, it's labeled as add missing information. If you click on that for an event, there's another page comes up with a couple areas. Down below, it would show their website if we had it. Otherwise, it does a Google search. And then here's a link to change the bottom thing. Like, for example, here, their website's not coming up. So we can do Google search. We can do Yahoo search. These are something to change this info down here. And then using this to find out about the event, we can put the correct information up there. So if it's put on by the library, we don't right now have the library's email address, so I'm putting that right in there. It's also at this location. Here's the facility name, and it's a library. I'm not sure if it's outdoor or is it indoor. I shouldn't add that for now. But you can go in and add as many questions as you have, as you knowledge of. Towards the bottom now, it's got no categories, and at least added into the art and craft show was that kind of event. It was called a library fair. I don't know what it is then. So actually, well, we do know what it is. It's a type of fair. So there is fairs and festivals category, and here's a fair. That's not really the type of fair this is, so I'm just going to leave it in the festival and fairs category. And updating that info. Okay, so I earned credit. I got some membership time. If I want to go right back to the event listing and click on this, and now, for example, I already had the website there. Here's the event categories are here now, and we're also by email now able to contact this event promoter and give them updates on their event listing. So now the last thing is let's do some confirming of event dates and show you how to even get rid of some of these approximate dates if you don't want these in your search results. Now if we knew the event date that this was happening and we know about it, we can go to it. There's an option here that says for every approximate date it has an add confirmed dates option. And when you click on it, again, it tries to do a search from their website if we can. Otherwise, there's options to do Google searches and Yahoo searches. You can research this any way you can. Their website seems to be down. If I'm working, their URL is bad. How to use this interface is a whole nother thing, but in general, I'm just going to show you how to do one. I don't actually, assuming we knew the date is what we're doing. I'm not going to click any buttons here, but we would, let's say we know it was not this week, it was the week after this. You could just change this to the 27th, 28th, but I have this button here that goes -7 or +7 days. So instantly adding that 1 week. And let's say I knew that I heard it on from their website. So after you just fix the date and the info source, you would just hit confirmed. If you were doing this, you really wouldn't hit these other 3 buttons. You wouldn't come in here if you knew the date to confirm it. So it's really all you do for this in this case. There's more help on this interface right here, some videos. Now let's say you don't want to see these search results. these events. If I go and edit my account settings, there are some settings here as far as the location, my zip code, but now I can also say I only want to see events that I know have vendors, and I also want to only see events that I know that the date is happening and the dates are confirmed of, and let's also only see arts and craft shows. So this should make a vast improvement in the search results. I'm going to the home page. It has these little warnings here. I've gone from a couple hundred events only down to 100. But I'm looking at Artists on the Lake, Mayfair, Craft Show, Wine Fest, Antique Shows, Stanhope Spring Festival, Mall Craft Show, Art Festival. These are all things that are guaranteed to be happening. So this is just a very comprehensive list of not even having to worry about, well, if I call them, I might not get an answer, or well, you still might not, but, or, I mean, at least you're not wasting time doing research for events that might not be happening. The other ones are still good leads, and they're still there for you. If you want, you can, again, go back up to your settings, and either right here, account manage, or here there's an account. If you go up to my account and hit edit, you could change any of your settings back to see all events, and I don't want to click that off. So now again, I'm seeing everything, and if I go to the home page, again, I have like 800 events now. But there's things like this Italian festival in Hazleton. But it might be happening. If I go to the confirm event dates, that's one good way to start looking, because it automatically, in here, it's happening actually. Well, looks like one day after, unless it's now a 2-day event. Yeah, no, it's just one day. And it is the right year, it does have that. So it is now the 22nd. We found it on, well, essentially the Facebook, it's their own promoter's website, and hitting confirmed. And that's how you add a confirmed date. So I'm going to have some other videos with some more details on how to use some other aspects of the site, but that's the basics of how to do a search, how to look at event comments, and how to hide the approximate dates from your search results. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.